that is something that is completely up to the higher ups and above our pay grade, frankly. So really,
Focus on is getting our game active so the BMC can do their job. Second of all, we should have like a clear definition and process of how people can get citizenship. And if we can like do it like in multiple ways, single ways, whatever, right? But as long as it's like very like clear to the definition and very clear to the process and how it's going to work, that we can like make more of our community inclusive. And also, I would also want to add is that we shouldn't like let the president single-handedly rely on the ceremonies, and that these citizenship ceremonies can also be hosted by other members of government, and that we need to like also like promote the game, because that's how we're gonna actually get numbers, and that's how we're gonna get immigrants to come to the border, and that's how we're gonna get our BMCs to do the job. And once they do the job, we can like accept new people in the group, get new army men, Lego army men. We can get new Lego politicians, Lego businesses, etc. Because we need to glow up. We cannot be betas. We have to actually be like strong businessmen and strong and like smart men as well to fix these problems and
you're
something
not a
like that.
smart man. Trust me, you're not a smart man, though.
I am, man. I
I
am, man.
really don't believe it.
I
I
graduated
really
from
don't
Mills
believe it. I
University.
really don't
I
believe it.
graduated from Mills
I really don't
University with a
believe it.
PhD in
Gotta
business,
be honest,
man.
I really don't see it. I
Please
really
don't
don't
interrupt
see
each
it.
other.
Do
One
not
at a time. One
insult
at a
each
time.
other.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, but I got a PhD degree from Mills University in business, obviously, so I know what
Not
exactly
not
I'm
a very
talking about.
credible university, then. Trust me, not a very credible
It
one.
is credible, bro. It's one of the
We
Well,
founding fathers.
we are literally endorsed by Mills, by the God Emperor himself.
By the dev state. You're endorsed by the dev state.
You mean
Yes,
by the
and that
guy
will
who's your
help our
cousin?
nation
All right,
You
this
grow.
is going off topic. Does anyone else want to continue? Does anyone else want to continue on this topic before we move to the next one?
I'd just
I'd
like to
like
say
to
a couple
say
more words. Oh, Melvin, go ahead.
real quick. I think that cabinet members should host more citizenship ceremonies, along with other members being allowed to host it. Maybe Congress. It would allow more people to become citizens easier, as like it's a big thing. Like back when the group was really active, that's all people wanted is to become civilians, but they couldn't because they were hosted once a month. That's it.
What I like to say is, pretty sure me and Melvin can both agree, that we're very against micromanagement. Me and Melvin, if we were to be elected, we don't want to have our hands sticky all up in the Bureau of Customs jobs. We don't want to be handing out citizen ceremonies every day. It's a tireless job. So one thing I actually do agree with both of my opponents here, Representative Jace and Mr. Person, is that I do agree with both of you guys that we should relinquish that job to the Bureau. I think that's a great idea, actually, and that is one thing I like about these two guys.
All right, we will begin with the last two questions. Should the URM prioritize and being first, or should it be more affiliated in helping with other countries? Should we prioritize ourselves first, or should we prioritize our allies for national
Since I've been
security reasons?
since I've been going last here a little bit, I'm just gonna start this one off. Me and Melvin, and we've talked about this relentlessly since we've decided we're going to be running together. We are URM first. We need to stop being the world police. We need to stop being the world helpers. Listen, one thing I was really infuriated earlier about hearing is about going to war with Columbia, going to war, all this warmongering. It's terrible. It's not good. Do we not remember the missile crisis we almost had? We do not need to put the world, and especially for this, we do not need to put the world on the brink of extinction with the TCU. Neither for our own people. If any of these candidates have any decency for the people and really are for the people of URM, they would not want war. War is the last priority, especially knowing how our TCU opponents are with nukes and nuclear. We don't want it. And me and Melvin are pro URM, but we are also pro diplomacy during all this.
While I agree that
All right, so
diplomacy is
my bad.
necessary,
Wait, are you gonna speak first or wait,
yeah,
who's speaking first?
I'll go. I'll go.
All right, my bad, gang.
No, it's good. You're all right. While I
All right.
agree, Johnny, that peace is very important and I strive to maintain it whenever possible, Johnny, you were not in the room when the Kuban Missile Crisis
I was listening
in
the whole
full
time.
effect.
I was listening.
Yes, I was down there. I was down there with the president during multiple things. I was down there with Toucan during its follow-up, and I was down there when the decisions were being made on whether or not the TCU was about to collapse. Respectfully, sir, you have no authority to question us on all of these different...
Let's not question the warmongers. You know who else said that? The TCU General Secretary. Let's not question the warmongers.
You have no right to question the decisions because you were not there when they were being made, sir. And also, on the topic of Cuba, what would you have us do? Would you have us sit there as nuclear hellfire was being fired off the course of what is essentially Florida, with nukes being dropped right off the course of Florida, and wow, the TCU were propping up a dictatorship and another regime that was stealing our assets and bullying our. I know it's called something else. I just don't have a name for Florida. And bullying our members in our Discord. Sir, respectfully, while I agree that we should look inward and fix the problems so that we have a grilled and good grand standard so that we may lead by the power of our example on this world stage, you cannot ever say that the response to Cuba was not a one born out of necessity. Because, sir, you were not there making the decisions and in the room when those decisions were being made. You have and must understand the full context of the threats that was under fire from Cuba. I am not going to sit here and be lectured by someone who only screams out talking points to me and sit here and
I apologize, madam. I apologize, madam representative. I apologize very much.
Get my
I just want to say something, madam representative, is although I might not have been in the room, I have enough brain cells to know that you don't end war by killing more. Someone write that down because that's a bar. You don't end war by killing more. Let's go and start that. You want people dead. That's all you have to say. If you want people dead, if you want to fight the TCU until the end of the earth, just say that, Madam Representative. However, me and Melvin look for a prosperous future with even our opponents. And you know how that happens? You know how that happens? Through diplomacy, my friend. Now, you might have PTSD from being on the ground, from the backgrounds. Where were you hiding behind all the other? You have to have been hiding behind the other troops. You have to have been hiding behind soldiers because you're still here. I know he's not doing anything because look, he's here talking to us. If you were on the front line, sir, you would be in the trenches right now. You would probably be in a casket, my friend. Except you're not. You're talking here. So I might have not been in that room, but I have enough brain cells to know what you're saying is a bunch of baloney. And sir, honestly, I'm fed up with it, Madam Representative. I'm fed up with it. Really, truly, I am. So don't come at me with your insults.
You and I both agree that diplomacy is important, but you are first off way out of line by insulting me personally on my gender, and second off, way out of line by suggesting my cowardice. Sir, you can debate me all you wish, but we are here to talk about the general issues of the people. I do not support sending people off to die in pointless wars. What I do support
you support nukes, sir. You support nukes. Nukes kill more.
What do you have us do? Do you want nuclear disarmament? Sir,
the LARP is real. The LARP is real, guys.
Exactly. The LARP is hugely real. This is a video game. People don't die sitting at a desk touching a mouse.
Let me tell you something, Madam Representative. Let me tell you something.
Crash out.
You are not as.
I want to start.
I want to start by saying my stuff. I would say capitalism first, democracy first, your America first. That's what I. That's what I support because our country needs a lot more support
We
right
will be
now
moving
to
on.
in order to
We're going
improve.
off topic. We're going off topic. We will begin with our last question.
Wait, what?
This is our final question for this debate.
Oh, anyways, that's all I said. You can continue. I'm back again.
Currently, the voting system, there can be a lot of people who can try to rig the voting system. So I ask, as president and along with working with the Supreme Court, how will you improve on the voting system currently within the United Republic of Man?
I'm gonna start with this question. First of all, for presidential elections should be decided by star voting instead of like the first past the post system because the first past the post system heavily incentivizes party lines and number games instead of like policy and quality of character because the star method goes from like 1 to 5 and you can rank the candidate based on like their performances and like how you highly rate them. Second of all, I will also introduce more security measures for elections, like basically like introduce like alt identifiers to prevent all accounts from rigging the elections. Third of all, I will second of, okay wait third of all, I will also say that for the four party system, I wouldn't say is exact representative, but I think there should be other options that represent the people's opinions and political beliefs a lot more better than just four parties, because four parties equals a bit chaotic. I say this from experience as during URM's two party system, and I would say that the two party and the four party system might correlate the same results and they will probably get replaced in the next month. But hopefully, our multi party system is alive, stays strong, it doesn't like fall off the graces. And I think that. And I think that multi party systems are always the best systems because they represent our views, they represent our freedoms, and mostly represent our principles of democracy. Enforcing rules without the consent of the governed, as in the people, they will like people are not gonna love it because they were not like how do I say this how do I say this advised about it, like as in they were not told about it, so like they can just change the system whenever they want instead of like picking a system that's like consistent and functional and stable, because like we don't have to change the system every once in a while. And so I suggest that we build a system that helps people have their political opinions, have a voice, but also at the same time has a political system that helps their voices and helps the government function more instead of like function less. That's all.
So, me and Melvin. Sorry if I keep reiterating that so much. I just have to make it known that I am Melvin's representative here. However, me and Melvin, we are pro the people, and with that, there needs to be a communication on who the people want to lead them. We believe our current system is a great system. It works. As you can tell, me and Melvin are here running. Simply, I'm simply a citizen, and I'm here on the front stage debating with all these other big guys. And I take that, that's a really huge step for me. However, one thing we got to get right is that there is always and can be election fraud, and that's undeniable. That's almost the inevitable that there's going to be some biasism of election fraud. Don't let that deteriorate the system. However, the four-party system is a great system, and one thing I actually agree with Mr. Person is that the four-party system, if it's active, remains active, and good leaders are leading the parties, we won't have an issue. However, what we will have an issue with is the candidates and the nominees. The nominees are the real problem. Bribery within the nominees and the candidates, endorsing each other, planning on that's the issue I see with this party system and voting in general. A
Yo,
lot of
Johnny, can
bribery.
I also add another comment for that? Like, I do agree what you're saying, right? But what I'm saying isn't like that like for this four-party system, right? I think that it like the biggest issue for me would be like leadership because like in general aspects, party leadership tends to be very mixed. Like for example, for Pepsi, they're pretty much dead. MRP leadership, it tends to be active and all that. Coca-Cola leadership tends to improve. Every other party tends to have like a very complicated relationship with those leaders. And what I do also suggest is that we should have like a party leadership elections so we can like change party leaderships once in a while so it doesn't like have the same candidates,
So let me
that kind of
let me.
thing.
I totally agree with that, and I'm starting to like Mr. Person a little bit more. However, I'd like to say is we've actually had this happen. I am a Coke member myself, and I can say confidently that the Coke Party did elect their leaders through an electoral process. However, that is something that has to be done internally, not externally. We have to let the parties, because let me tell you something: the parties are still representatives of the people. They're still representatives of the people. So having the people vote in their people who they want to lead their party, and then so on and so forth. It's a chain reaction. However, the biggest problem I see with future elections is the candidates and the nominees, not party leadership. Because it's all about perspective on how the party's leadership will improve their party.
I
The
think there's
candidate.
already
Okay, that's a pretty good answer, not gonna lie, man. But at least we can agree on the same thing because sure, the candidates will be a problem, but that depends on how the parties manage those candidates. Like how are the candidates? How can we like filter those candidates out from good to bad? Is my question. Like, how are we gonna do that?
I was gonna say, I believe, I think there is a system for that. I don't know, Vertage will have to say something, but there, I remember hearing there is already a system to filter out, candidates, uh, and so the parties will individually select the best one, for their party. I don't know. I'm just like rambling now. I don't remember what it was. I just remember that there was a system that was stated at one point.
We can have
Gentlemen.
primaries, right?
Yeah, we do. I know a lot of parties do.
Real
Anyways,
quick, and I will stop talking, but just to reply to you, Mr. Person, I still stand strongly on the fact that I believe the parties will vote in who they want. Then if that leadership is terrible for that party, if it's inactive, that is their doing. That is their party. They had the full responsibility to elect the leader who was active, competent, wanted the better, and they didn't. That is their fault. And that's the same thing you have to face when you're voting. Vote the competent person, and that's where I'm gonna end off.
All right.
gentlemen, the candidates are the problem. The whole idea of this election must be guarded against fraud. This is all coming out of the VP pick of a developer. The whole precipice of my campaign has been
Is that hold on. Where's the host at? Where's the sounds like you're prejudiced. All right, listen, let me tell you
Prejudice,
something.
yeah,
Let me
this
tell you
is
something. Let me tell you
100%
let me
biased.
tell you something.
This is
Wait,
biased.
wait, wait,
I can't hold on,
wait.
Mr.
What's the current situation?
He
I was
said
not even
my he, no. He said that my what I'm saying does not have any relevance because I'm a VP pick of a developer. Let me ask you, does that matter? If this is a democracy, especially for you running for president, sir, that is very disrespectful. Because it doesn't
He
matter if
also
I'm a
got
citizen.
sacked as
Jace,
vice president.
was it true what you said?
still not finished
Jace,
the
was
entire
it true what you
first
said by that?
sentence. I am going to clarify, sir. But if I make it past the first seconds and first sentence of my statement here, maybe we can actually learn instead of interrupting me immediately.
You said something very rude, sir, and I'd like an apology.
You said something very rude, sir, and I'd like an apology from you, but we didn't get that because you're too high strung. Now,
Sir,
the
I don't like.
whole
Let me
idea
say something.
coming
I will
from
not do.
a
I will not do. I will not accept disrespect on social hierarchy classes between me and Melvin. Point blank. Period. Will not happen.
Okay, I will not accept any sort of inference about my gender and my mental state of mind during this debate and during it, period.
Madam
Anyways,
Representative,
sir,
you've lost your cool multiple times. I just
okay,
pointed it out to you.
am I going to be allowed to finish my sentence, sir? Or would you like to continue yapping at the scale of a master? I don't know. I've lost my train of thought at this point. Sir, would you like to continue
All
talking
right,
at this
all right.
debate and
We will.
silencing minority voices,
All
or
right.
may I
This is
finish
getting
my bloody
very
sentence?
off topic. Jace, may you be quiet. This is getting very off topic. I assume that all of you guys have already answered this question. We will
I
now
have
begin
not
with
gotten a
serious
chance to
opening
answer this question,
statements.
Mr.
You've
Munger.
already did, sir. You spoke multiple times about it.
No,
You're
in
trying to.
fact, the first
No,
time
no. The
I
first
spoke
thing, the second
was
time
the
you spoke,
very
sir. The
time
second
you
time you spoke,
interrupted me.
the second time you spoke, you attacked my ranking in this group and Melvin's
Actually,
ranking in this
the
group,
first time
saying we
I
are
spoke,
You
I
disrespected
said
us
that you
on the
are the
grounds
VP of
for
a
no
Level
reason.
moderator and a
discrimination.
developer. That is not
Discrimination,
a
actual discrimination in this election, coming from a future president.
All right, I muted you both. This is getting out of hand. We will now begin with opening statements. I'll allow Mr. Person first until you guys can calm down. But before we begin with opening statements, I would like to say that I'm honored as the host and member of the Supreme Court to be hosting this debate live today, and I appreciate every one of you guys' takes, etc. You guys have introduced a lot of points, and I wish best of luck to everyone who's running today, running for president.
All right. Can I start my
Mr. Person,
opening statement?
you may now begin your closing statement. Also,
All
this has to
right.
be serious. No Sigma Boy LARP shit.
All right. Anyways, so as I was saying, URM citizens, you should listen to this very carefully. This election will be probably the most important of our time, and it will decide the future of our country. Do we want a ex vice president who has got sacked, juvied, and basically has a lot of blunders, and also has been pretty inactive? Or should we have the deep state who wants to control our livelihoods and basically control our democracy? Or should we pick an alternative, which is me, which who I provide the alternative for proper leadership, for proper governance of our country, proper direction, proper vision. If we do not have this option, if we do not elect this option, our country forever be lost to inactivity, to to drama, to destruction, and most importantly, to death. Make America great again. Muga, muga.
All right, Jace Mage, you may begin your closing statement if you have one.
I'll go last. Let Johnny finish.
All right, Johnny,
I appreciate
you
that.
may.
I appreciate that, Representative Jace. That's been the kindest thing you've done so far. I would like to say, if that's fine with you, Mos, if me and Melvin both have a closing statement, since I'm pretty sure he might be able to speak. However, for my part of the closing
Yes.
statement, since I've been debating most of the time, I'd like to say thank you for having me up here again. This has been a huge step for me. I'm just a normal citizen. I've been given the opportunity to hopefully become your future vice president. As far as voting, everyone here is competent. Even Madam Representative Jace. We're all competent. We know what we need to do.
Please do not refer to him as madam. Please refer to him as sir.
Representative
or just-
Jace knows. Even Representative Jace is competent, but the audience especially is very competent, and they know who they need to vote. You don't need to vote for these two. You need to vote for a dev state, strong leadership, and more communication between your leaders. And that is what me and Melvin are here to prove to you all.
All right. So basically, what Mr. Person said, the past three presidents have said basically the exact same thing, and look what has gotten done. You can make a change by putting someone in power who, is connected to the development of the group, and we can push like these ideas farther and better than ever before. No more Strova, martial law, no more martial law. We can get businesses in the game. We can make real promises, real change. Vote Melvin and vote, Pirate. He needs to be Congress. We need him. And
In the end, though, it's mainly just Mills' jurisdiction, not yours. So
yeah, but
you may continue.
Mills, he endorses us. We got the God Emperors.
Yeah, but it's entirely Mills' will. It doesn't really matter.
And let me say something.
Mills could just say, "I don't want that. I don't want that."
Although I closed off, I'd like to say, Melvin proves a great point, ladies and gentlemen. Melvin proves a great point. Like I was saying about communication, as you can see, me and Melvin are working together. He's a dev. I'm just a normal citizen. Really, I am. And we are working together. Look at the communication we have. Now look at the communication and the things we can get done between a dev as president, one of you guys as vice president, and the community overall. Thank you.
Is that all your closing statements?
Not mine yet.
All right, Jace Mage, you may continue. You may begin your closing statement.
First off, thank you very much for hosting this debate, and thank you very much to all the candidates. Coming into this debate, I wanted to present myself as someone who was going to be very respectful, and I feel I tried to be, despite losing my cool multiple times. And this, I feel, is a great and humiliating thing, something that has humbled me in a way at this debate. Mr. Pearson talked frequently about my political blunders, even an accidental ping that ended me up in the hands of the developers for a little bit. I don't say that these are, not my things. I don't avoid these ideas as such that they were not my fault. Because in the end, they are my fault. They are mistakes in a very long road. When I first entered Congress, I was not a citizen of this nation. When I first became vice president, I was not a citizen of this nation. Now I stand to you, a citizen of this nation, campaigning for the highest office in the land. What sets an interesting precedent here in all of these different events that have led up to here in my career is that I have made blunders, I have made mistakes, but I have learned. And I have gathered more information, and I'm getting better each and every time we do this. Because when we believe that our public servants, our leaders, are perfect and godlike people, we fool ourselves from the common humanity that unites us. We convince ourselves that our president is some great person who knows exactly what they're doing every single time. We convince ourselves that our Supreme Court is high, mighty, and just, apolitical, and completely unbiased. I'm here to say that these are good things that we make mistakes, because it means that we learn, because we are defined by the mistakes we made and how we react to them, not what we do. We are defined by what we didn't do and how we can change to make it better. Now, this debate, I have made many mistakes. But I ask you, what would you rather have? Would you rather have Mr. Pearson, who I admit has some good ideas, but he also stands here as someone who has ran for president multiple times as someone who has a long and deep career in the field, but a long and deep career of past inaction on parts. Do you want a man who will stand here and just spout talking points over and over and over? Or do you want a developer who is connected almost to put himself with the powers of a developer and to put himself with the powers of the presidency in a position almost untouchable by the grounds of common law? Or do you want someone who is young, yet old enough to know what they are doing wrong and fix them, and young enough to go and try and help? Everything I've done up until this point has been to serve this country and make it better. Which is why I do not hide my misfaults or missteps, but I embrace them as the growths and troubles of someone just working to get this nation, the nation they enjoy, the group they love, better and higher. I've been advised by campaign staff to use this opportunity to ask for your votes. I'm not going to do that because there are multiple other candidates here that are very, very qualified. And I want you, the great people of the URM, to go out and vote for the person that makes you feel free. Vote for the person that makes you feel right. Do what you feel is best for the country, because in the end, that is what we all must do. Because then, after we have all done that, we can walk out of our polling place or walk into this Capitol building or into this great nation feeling with our heads held high that we have done the right thing and that we are truly free, because our democracy is not something that we can misplace in the fortunes of an old tired conservative or in the misfortunes of a developer only seeking more power, who ran his race originally as a joke and now to gain more power and consolidate it more in the hands of the deep state.
All right,
God
is
bless
that
you all.
all, Mr. J?
God save this country.
All right. Yeah, sure. Please, sorry, may you please hurry up? I really don't have that much time. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to rush you. I'm just no, it's fine. Is that all? Yeah, because you're going on a tangent. That's why, and I don't have that much time for that. Well, anyways, I thank you all. I thank all the candidates for being here, and I thank all spectators. This has been an awesome debate. I hope to continue hosting these more, and I'm honored as member of the Supreme Court to be hosting these debates, and hope to host more in the future. May you all, may all candidates have luck in this debate, in this election, and you vote who you want to vote. Thank you all for coming. That's all.
Vote Melvin.
Vote Melvin, guys. Can't lie,
Oh,
vote Melvin.
Melvin!
Hey, the Australian guy told you to do it, so you have to do it.
Vote for Mr.
Exactly.
Person. Vote for capitalism. All right, see y'all, guys. I'm gonna go out because I'm getting tired.
Alright.
See y'all.
Guys, if you are not doing
Sigma,
anything
Sigma,
else,
bro.
get in purely capitalism. Get on the army team and defend the nation, dude. What on earth? We're literally getting flogged right now.
All right. I guess vote for Jace. Vote for actual change. I don't know if we're all just plugging
Hey, buddy,
ourselves.
But yeah, this has been a really awesome debate. I appreciate you all, and God bless.